We're cutting your kids' Christmas gifts. Money problems. Dad texted. Yet my brother's kids got iPads, watches, designer shoes. I took my kids to Aspen. Shared photos. Niece asked, "Why didn't you invite us?" I replied, "Money problems." Mom called. "How could you?" I said, "That text message from my dad didn't just ruin Christmas, it fundamentally shifted everything I thought I knew about my family. And what came next would shake us all to our core." I was untangling Christmas lights with my 8-year-old twin daughters, Leah and Maya, the kind of cozy, cheerful December afternoon that makes you believe in magic. The smell of pine filled the air as they chattered excitedly about Frank and Linda visiting when my phone buzzed. "We're canceling your kids' Christmas gifts. Budget issues." My blood ran cold. I stared at the screen, utterly disbelieving. Chloe looked up from hanging ornaments, asking what was wrong. My mind raced back to Frank's recent promotion to regional sales director, the shiny new BMW in their driveway from just last month. None of it made any sense. Then my phone lit up again. A group photo from my brother, Ryan, showing his kids, Owen and Piper, already unwrapping expensive early Christmas presents. 20 minutes later, I was driving through the familiar suburban streets of Des Plaines, Illinois, my hands gripping the steering wheel, so tight my knuckles were white. The December air was crisp. Holiday decorations twinkled from every house, but all I could think about was that text and Ryan's photos. I pulled into the circular driveway and saw Ryan's silver Toyota Camry next to Frank's BMW. Warm lights spilled from the bay window. Silhouettes moved inside. I took a deep breath, bracing myself. The front door opened before I could knock. Linda looked flustered, her silver hair slightly disheveled. "Oh, Nathan, honey," she said, her voice carrying that nervous edge from my childhood, always trying to smooth things over. "I wasn't expecting you." "We need to talk, Mom," I said, stepping into the foyer where roasted turkey and cinnamon mingled. "About Dad's text." Her face fell, and she glanced nervously toward the living room where children laughed and video games beeped. "Your father is just trying to be practical about the holidays," she began, but I was already walking past her. In the living room, Ryan was sprawled on the leather sectional, a bottle of expensive craft beer in hand, watching Owen and Piper play with what looked like brand-new gaming equipment. The coffee table was littered with empty containers from Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. "Hey, little brother," Ryan said without looking up from his phone, where he was scrolling through real estate listings. "Didn't know you were coming by." Owen, Ryan's 10-year-old, looked up. "Uncle Nathan, look what Grandpa got me for Christmas." He held up a controller, clearly part of a PlayStation 5 bundle worth at least $500. 8-year-old Piper bounded over, her wrists adorned with what looked like a genuine Apple Watch. "And look at my new watch. It can track my steps and send messages." I looked around. Shopping bags from high-end stores were scattered everywhere, Nike swooshes on shoe boxes near the Christmas tree, which was loaded with far more presents than I remembered from previous years. Frank emerged from the kitchen, carrying a bottle of Sonoma Valley Cabernet, usually saved for special occasions. When he saw me, his expression shifted between guilt and defensiveness. "Nathan, son, I suppose Linda told you about our conversation regarding Christmas gifts." "You mean your text about budget issues?" I said, pulling out my phone and reading the message aloud. "Because I'm looking around here and I'm seeing a lot of expensive gifts that don't exactly scream financial hardship." Ryan finally looked up, his jaw tightening. "Maybe you don't understand what it's like trying to manage Christmas as a single parent going through a divorce, Nathan. The kids need some stability right now." "Stability?" I gestured toward the gaming equipment. "This looks like about $3,000 worth of electronics." Linda wrung her hands nervously. "Ryan's situation is complicated, honey. He lost his job 6 months ago, and with the divorce proceedings, he's having to manage the kids on Christmas Day this year instead of Brittany. We wanted to make sure Owen and Piper had a special Christmas despite everything their father has been going through." Something cold settled in my stomach. "So, let me understand this correctly. Ryan gets early Christmas gifts worth thousands of dollars because he's struggling financially, but my kids get nothing because of budget issues." Frank set down his wine glass and crossed his arms. "Your situation is different, son. You have a stable job, a stable marriage. You can afford to provide for your daughters. Ryan really needs our help right now. So, Financial help means luxury electronics and designer shoes. I pointed to the Nike boxes. Those aren't exactly necessities. Ryan stood up, his face flushing red. You have no idea what I'm dealing with right now. Brittany's lawyers are bleeding me dry. I'm trying to start my own business, and I need to make sure my kids don't suffer because of adult problems they didn't create. What kind of business? I asked. Consulting, Ryan said quickly. Marketing consulting. It's just taking time to build up the client base. Owen held up a pair of new Air Jordan sneakers. Dad says these cost $200. Grandpa got them special ordered. I looked at Frank, who was avoiding eye contact. $200 for shoes for a 10-year-old. But you can't manage Christmas gifts for Leah and Maya. It's not about what we can manage, Frank said defensively. It's about prioritizing where our help is needed most. Ryan's children are dealing with family instability right now. And what exactly do you think my children are dealing with when their grandparents suddenly cancel Christmas with a 2-line text message? Linda stepped between us, her voice pleading. Boys, please don't fight. It's almost Christmas. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. Girls are asking when you'll be home. Leah wants to know if Grandma and Grandpa are still coming for Christmas morning. I stared at the message, thinking about my daughters at home, probably still decorating the tree and talking excitedly about Christmas morning, completely unaware that their grandparents had just written them off in favor of their cousins. I need some air, I said, heading toward the back patio door. But as I passed the kitchen, I heard Frank and Ryan talking in low voices near the breakfast nook. I told you this would be awkward, Frank was saying. But Nathan's got that stable engineering salary. He can afford his own kids' Christmas. You really need the help right now. I appreciate it, Dad, Ryan replied. The kids deserve this after everything they've been through. Nathan will understand eventually. He's always been the responsible one. I stood there, listening to them discuss my family's Christmas like we were a line item in their budget that could simply be crossed out. The casual way they dismissed my daughter's feelings. The assumption that I should just accept being treated as less important because I was financially stable. It all hit me like a punch to the gut. I walked back into the living room where Owen and Piper were showing off designer clothing that still had tags attached. Piper modeled a coat that cost more than most people spent on their entire winter wardrobe. I need to get home to my family, I announced. Ryan looked up from his beer. Tell Leah and Maya we said hi. Maybe they can come over and play with Owen and Piper's new stuff sometime. The casual cruelty of the suggestion left me speechless. I kissed Linda on the cheek and nodded to Frank, who looked uncomfortable but showed no signs of reconsidering. As I drove home through the twinkling Christmas lights, I replayed that overheard conversation, the dismissive way they talked about my family, the assumption that we should just accept being treated as second-class relatives. When I walked through our front door, Leah and Maya ran to greet me, their faces bright with excitement. Daddy, did you talk to Grandpa about Christmas morning? Leah asked. Are they still coming to watch us open presents? I knelt down and hugged both of them, breathing in the scent of their strawberry shampoo, my heart breaking a little more. We'll talk about Christmas morning tomorrow, sweetheart, I said. Right now, let's just focus on making our tree beautiful. Chloe caught my eye over their heads, and I shook my head slightly. This wasn't a conversation for little ears. Later that night, after they were tucked into bed, still talking excitedly about Santa, I told Chloe everything. She listened in stunned silence as I described the scene at my parents' house. I can't believe they would do that, she said, her voice barely a whisper. Those girls have been looking forward to Christmas with their grandparents for months. The worst part is how they talked about us when they thought I couldn't hear, I said. Like we're just the successful family that doesn't need love or consideration because we can take care of ourselves. Chloe reached over and took my hand. What are we going to do about Christmas morning? The girls are expecting their grandparents. I stared up at the ceiling, listening to the winter wind rattle our bedroom windows, and realized everything I thought I knew about my family had just fundamentally changed. The next morning, I woke with a sick feeling and a determination to understand exactly what was really going on with Ryan's supposed financial crisis. Chloe was already in the kitchen. I keep thinking about last night, I said, accepting the steaming mug she handed me. Something doesn't add up about Ryan's story. What do you mean? Chloe asked. The expensive takeout, the designer clothes with tags, him browsing real estate listings. None of that screams desperate financial situation to me. Chloe nodded. And didn't you say he quit his job rather than getting laid off? Mom specifically said he lost his job. I think I need to make some phone calls. After Chloe left for work and the girls went to school, I started my detective work. My first call was to David Miller, a mutual friend in Ryan's former marketing department. Hey David, it's Nathan. I hope you don't mind me calling, but my family mentioned Ryan lost his job. Was it layoffs or performance issues? There was a pause. Lost his job? Nathan, Ryan wasn't fired. He quit. Gave his 2 weeks notice back in June, said he was starting his own consulting business. The whole department was kind of envious, actually. He made it sound like he was going to be making bank. After I hung up, I stared at my laptop processing. Then I opened Ryan's LinkedIn profile. What I found made my blood boil. It showed him as founder and principal consultant at his own marketing firm. Recent posts included photos from business lunches at expensive restaurants, updates about exciting new client partnerships, and a professional headshot taken at a high-end photography studio. One post from 2 weeks ago showed him at a networking event with the caption, "Building relationships and expanding horizons, grateful for the opportunities that come with entrepreneurship." Another from last month featured him at an expensive steakhouse with men in suits, captioned, "Closing deals and building partnerships. Nothing beats a successful quarter." I scrolled through months of posts, each painting a picture of a successful entrepreneur, not a struggling single father. Weekend trips, expensive dinners, a new wardrobe. Then I checked his other social media. Ryan's Instagram told an even more revealing story. Photos from a weekend trip to Atlantic City 3 weeks ago, high-end casinos, expensive buffets. A photo from 2 months ago at a professional football game in premium seats. Multiple posts of expensive meals. But the most damning evidence came from his Facebook page, which he thought was more private. Photos from his recent birthday party at an upscale cocktail lounge, complete with bottle service and a several $100 bar tab. And then, the photo that made everything click. It was Ryan 4 days ago, standing next to a bright red Corvette convertible with the caption, "Sometimes you need to treat yourself. Life's too short for boring cars." I screenshotted the image, feeling a mixture of anger and vindication. This was the same car Ryan had supposedly been forced to sell due to financial hardship, according to Linda. My phone rang, Chloe calling during her lunch break. "Any luck with your research?" "You could say that. Ryan hasn't been fired from anything. He quit voluntarily to start his own business, which appears to be doing quite well based on his social media. And he definitely hasn't sold his Corvette." "Are you serious?" "Dead serious. He's been posting photos of expensive trips, business dinners, and luxury purchases for months. Either he's the worst businessman in history for spending money he doesn't have, or he's been lying to Frank and Linda about his financial situation." Chloe was quiet. "So he's manipulating them. Exactly what he's doing, and it's working perfectly. He gets to play the victim while our kids get nothing for Christmas. What are you going to do with this information?" I looked at the screenshots. "I'm not sure yet, but I'm not going to let him destroy my daughter's Christmas while he plays games with our parents' emotions." That afternoon, when Leah and Maya came home from school, they were full of questions about Christmas morning. "Is Grandma Linda coming to make her special pancakes?" Maya asked. "Are Grandpa Frank and Grandma going to be here when we open presents?" Leah added. Owen texted me that they gave him a new gaming system already. I exchanged glances with Chloe, who had come home early. "Girls, come sit with Daddy and Mommy for a minute," I said, settling onto the couch. They climbed up beside us, their faces expectant but showing traces of worry. "Grandpa and Grandma aren't going to be able to come for Christmas morning this year," I said gently. "They're spending Christmas with Uncle Ryan and your cousins." Leah's face fell. "But they always come here. It's our tradition. Why can't they come to both?" Maya asked. "They could come here first, and then go to Uncle Ryan's." Chloe smoothed Maya's hair. "Sometimes grown-ups have to make difficult decisions, sweetie. Uncle Ryan's kids are going through some changes with their parents' divorce. So Grandpa and Grandma want to be there for them." "But what about us?" Leah asked, her voice small and hurt. "Don't they want to be here for us, too?" The question hit me like a physical blow. How do you explain to an 8-year-old that their grandparents had essentially ranked them as less important? "Of course, they love you just as much," I said, though the words felt hollow. Sometimes families have to make hard choices. After dinner, while the girls were upstairs, my phone rang. It was Linda. Nathan, honey, I've been thinking about last night, and I want you to know that this decision wasn't easy for us. Mom, can I ask you something directly? Of course. Has Ryan shown you any documentation of his job loss? Termination papers, unemployment filing, anything official? There was a pause. Well, no, but he explained the situation when he moved back in with us temporarily. He's living with you just until he gets back on his feet. The divorce has been so hard on him financially. I took a deep breath. Mom, I need you to look at something. Can you get on your computer? I'm going to send you Ryan's LinkedIn profile and some of his social media posts. I think you need to see what he's been posting about his business success. Nathan, I don't think I should be spying on your brother. It's not spying if it's publicly posted. Mom, he's been lying to you about his financial situation. After I sent her the links and screenshots, the phone was quiet for several long minutes. Oh my, she said finally, her voice very small. Mom, that Corvette in the photo, that's the car he told you he had to sell, right? Yes. He said the divorce settlement required him to liquidate assets. This photo was posted 4 days ago. He still owns the car. The silence stretched. Mom, are you still there? I need to talk to your father, she said finally, her voice shaky. Nathan, I had no idea. I know you didn't. But Mom, this means that Ryan has been manipulating you and Dad while my kids suffer the consequences. Leah and Maya have been looking forward to Christmas morning with you for months. I feel sick, she said quietly. I need to go process this information. After she hung up, I found Chloe in the kitchen. How did that go? She asked. I think Mom's starting to understand, but I'm not holding my breath for Dad to change his mind. He's always had a soft spot for Ryan's drama. Chloe dried her hands. What if they don't fix this? What if Leah and Maya end up having a Christmas morning without their grandparents because Ryan manipulated the situation? I looked toward the staircase, where I could hear the girls getting ready for bed, their voices still carrying that excited anticipation. Then we'll make sure they have the best Christmas possible anyway, I said. And Ryan will learn that actions have consequences. But even as I said it, I was already formulating a plan that would teach my entire family exactly what budget issues really felt like. Christmas morning arrived gray and cold, with a light dusting of snow that would have been magical under different circumstances. I woke early, but instead of excitement, I felt a heavy dread. Chloe and I had scraped together enough money for modest gifts. Art supplies, a few books, small toys. We dipped into our emergency savings, just to make sure the girls had something to open. Leah and Maya came bounding down the stairs at 7 a.m., their faces bright with pure joy. They raced to the tree where a small collection of wrapped packages waited. Where are Grandma and Grandpa's presents? Maya asked, looking around with confusion. Remember, sweetie, they're spending Christmas with Owen and Piper this year, Chloe said gently. Leah's face fell slightly, but she rallied quickly. Well, can we call them after we open presents, so they can see what Santa brought us? Of course we can, I said, dreading the conversation that would inevitably follow. The girls opened their gifts with enthusiasm. Emma started sketching, Maya arranging crayons by color. But I could see the questions in their eyes, the confusion about why Christmas felt different this year. Around 9:30, Chloe suggested we video call my parents. I reluctantly pulled up the app, dreading what we were about to see. When the call connected, we looked into my parents' living room, where Ryan's family was gathered around their tree. The sheer volume of gifts was staggering. The tree was surrounded by open boxes, wrapping paper, and thousands of dollars worth of electronics and toys. Grandma Linda, Grandpa Frank. Leah called out excitedly, "Look what I got for Christmas!" She held up her art supplies. I watched my parents' faces try to muster enthusiasm that clearly didn't match what they were seeing around their own living room. "That's wonderful, sweetheart," Linda said, her voice strained. In the background, Owen was setting up a complete gaming system with multiple controllers and a massive television I hadn't noticed in their living room before. "Uncle Nathan and Chloe," Owen called out, apparently unaware of the tension. "Look what Grandpa got me. It's the new PlayStation with all the best games. It cost $3,000. Maya's eyes widened. $3,000, she whispered to me. Piper bounded into view, wearing a complete outfit of designer clothes, including shoes that cost several $100s each. And look at my Christmas clothes. Grandma took me shopping at the fancy mall. She said I could pick out whatever I wanted. I watched my daughters' faces as they took in the extravagant display. The simple joy they'd felt about their own presents was slowly being replaced by confusion and hurt. Grandpa, Leah said quietly, did Santa bring Owen and Piper extra presents because they're staying at your house? Frank cleared his throat uncomfortably. Well, sweetie, Santa knows that Owen and Piper are going through some changes this year, so he wanted to make sure their Christmas was special. But we would have been good too, Maya said, her voice very small. We helped Mommy and Daddy decorate the tree, and we've been extra good at school. I felt something break inside my chest, watching my 8-year-old try to understand why she was less deserving. Ryan appeared in the video frame, carrying a glass of expensive champagne. Hey, little brother, how's your Christmas morning going? It's going fine, I said tightly. Owen, show them your other presents. Ryan encouraged. For the next 10 minutes, we were subjected to a parade of expensive gifts, video games, designer clothing, high-end electronics, jewelry. Ryan made sure to mention the price of several items. And this is just the beginning, Ryan announced. Mom and Dad are taking the kids shopping after Christmas for their winter wardrobes. Apparently, the kids need new ski equipment for our trip to Utah next month. I felt Chloe's hand squeeze my arm tightly. You're going skiing? Leah asked, her voice full of longing. Grandpa's treating us to a week at Park City, Owen announced proudly. It's going to be amazing. After we ended the call, Leah and Maya sat quietly on the living room floor, surrounded by their modest gifts, clearly processing what they had just witnessed. Daddy, Maya said finally, why do Owen and Piper get so many presents and a ski trip? Yeah, Leah added. And why don't Grandma and Grandpa love us enough to come see us on Christmas morning? Chloe got up abruptly and walked into the kitchen, and I could hear her crying quietly. I knelt down between my daughters, trying to find words that would comfort them without lying. Sometimes adults make decisions that don't seem fair, I said carefully. But that doesn't mean you're loved any less, and it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. But it feels like we did something wrong, Leah said, her eyes filling with tears. I pulled both girls into a hug, my anger toward Ryan and my parents reaching a boiling point. But before I could respond, my phone buzzed with a text message. It was from Frank. Nathan, Linda and I have been talking, and we think it would be a good idea if your family could contribute to Owen and Piper's college funds this year instead of exchanging gifts. Since you're doing so well financially, it would really help Ryan plan for the kids' futures. We could set up $500 per child as a starting point. I stared at the message in absolute disbelief. After watching Ryan's children receive thousands of dollars in gifts, after my own daughters had been excluded, Frank was asking me to contribute to my nephews' and nieces' college funds. Chloe appeared in the doorway. What is it? She asked, seeing my expression. I showed her the text, and her face transformed from confusion to fury. Are they serious? She whispered. Apparently so. Leah looked up at me with those trusting 8-year-old eyes. Daddy, are you sad about Christmas? I looked at my daughter, then at Maya, then at Chloe, and realized that something fundamental had shifted in me. Ryan's manipulation had cost my children their relationship with their grandparents. His lies had resulted in my daughters spending Christmas morning feeling like they weren't good enough, weren't loved enough, weren't worthy of the same treatment as their cousins. I thought about the emergency savings we had just depleted to buy their modest gifts. I thought about Frank's casual assumption that we should contribute to Ryan's children's future while Ryan spent frivolously and manipulated our parents with lies. And I realized it was time to stop being the responsible, understanding son who accepted whatever treatment the family decided to give us. No, sweetheart, I said to Leah. Daddy's not sad. Daddy's just figuring some things out. I walked into the kitchen and started researching last-minute vacation packages on my phone. If Ryan could manipulate the situation to get luxury treatment for his family, then it was time for my family to experience some luxury of our own. And it was time to teach everyone involved exactly what budget issues really felt like. The Monday after Christmas, while Leah and Maya were still on winter break, I made a decision that would change everything. I was sitting in my home office when I came across a last-minute vacation package. Aspen Winter Family Package. 5 days, 4 nights at the luxurious Mountain View Resort. Includes ski lessons, equipment rental, and gourmet dining. Last-minute availability for the week between Christmas and New Year's. I clicked through the details. It would require using our credit card, it would stretch our budget. But after watching my daughter's faces on Christmas morning, I realized this wasn't about money anymore. This was about dignity, self-respect, and teaching Leah and Maya that they deserve to be treated with the same love and consideration as anyone else. Chloe walked into the office carrying coffee. I turned the laptop screen toward her. "Are you seriously considering this?" she asked. "Dead serious. Ryan gets to manipulate Frank and Linda into funding his family's luxury lifestyle while our kids get excluded from Christmas. I think it's time we showed everyone that we can create our own magical family experiences." Chloe sat down, her expression thoughtful but concerned. "Nathan, this is going to cost us several $1,000s. Money we don't exactly have sitting around. The money we don't have sitting around because we just spend our emergency fund on Christmas gifts after Frank canceled the girls' presents for budget reasons," I said. "Meanwhile, Ryan's kids got thousands in gifts, plus a ski trip to Park City. What's the point? This feels like we're trying to compete." I leaned back. "It's not about competition, Chloe. It's about showing Leah and Maya that they matter, that they deserve wonderful experiences and family adventures. And honestly, it's about showing my family that their assumptions about us are completely wrong." "What do you mean?" "Frank assumes we'll just accept whatever treatment they give us because we're financially stable. He literally asked me to contribute to Ryan's kids' college funds after excluding our daughters from Christmas. The whole family operates under this assumption that responsible, successful people don't need love, consideration, or special treatment." Chloe was quiet for several minutes, sipping her coffee. "And you think taking the girls to Aspen will change that?" "I think taking the girls to Aspen will show them that their parents prioritize their happiness and well-being above everything else. And if the rest of the family sees it and realizes what they've been missing out on by excluding us, well, that's just a bonus." "What about the cost? We'll be paying this off for months." I thought about Ryan's Instagram posts, his expensive dinners, his Corvette, his Atlantic City trips. Ryan's been spending money he claims not to have for months while getting handouts from Frank and Linda. Meanwhile, we've been responsible, budget-conscious, and careful with our finances. And what has that gotten us? Our kids excluded from family celebrations because we're supposedly too successful to need support. Chloe started laughing, but it wasn't a happy sound. "It is pretty ridiculous when you put it that way. I'm tired of being punished for being responsible, Chloe. I'm tired of watching our daughters suffer because their parents are stable and reliable. Ryan gets rewarded for being dramatic and manipulative, and we get taken for granted because we don't create chaos." I pulled up Ryan's social media posts on my phone. "Look at this. 3 weeks ago, he was posting from Atlantic City. 2 weeks ago, he was at some expensive steakhouse. Last week, he posted a picture with his Corvette talking about treating yourself, but somehow he's too financially strapped to afford his kids' Christmas gifts." Chloe scrolled, her expression growing more incredulous. "These restaurant bills alone probably cost more than our Christmas budget." "Exactly. So, while he's manipulating Frank and Linda with fake financial hardship, we're here actually living within our means and getting treated like we don't matter because we're not dramatic enough." I looked toward the living room where Leah and Maya were playing with their gifts, their voices carrying that forced cheerfulness children use when they're trying to be happy about something that's actually disappointed them. Those girls have been looking forward to Christmas with their grandparents since October. They've been talking about Grandma Linda's special pancakes and showing Grandpa Frank their art projects. And it all got taken away because Ryan decided to play victim and Frank and Linda decided that his kids' happiness was more important than our kids' happiness. Chloe set down her coffee cup. "If we do this, if we book this vacation, we're committing to something bigger than just a family trip." "What do you mean?" "I mean, we're committing to not being the family members who just accept whatever treatment we're given. We're committing to prioritizing our own family's happiness, even if it makes other people uncomfortable." I thought about that for a moment. She was right. This vacation would be a statement. "I think I'm ready to make that commitment," I said. "Are you?" Chloe was quiet for a long moment. Then she smiled. You know what? Yes, I am. Those girls deserve to know that their parents will fight for their happiness. And frankly, after watching Ryan manipulate this entire situation, I'm ready to stop being the understanding sister-in-law who just accepts whatever the family decides. I started booking the package immediately. 5 days at a luxury resort in Aspen, ski lessons for the girls, spa treatments for Chloe, and enough high-end experiences to create magical family memories. As I entered our credit card information, my phone buzzed with a text from Ryan. It was a group message to me, Linda, and Frank, featuring photos from their ski trip planning. Excited for our Park City adventure next month. The kids are going to love the slopes. Thanks again, Mom and Dad, for making this possible for my family during such a difficult time. I stared at the message, then screenshotted it and added it to my collection of evidence. Girls, I called toward the living room. Can you come here for a minute? Daddy and Mommy have something exciting to tell you. Leah and Maya came running in, their faces curious and hopeful. How would you like to go on a surprise vacation this week? I asked. A vacation? Leah asked, her eyes lighting up for the first time since Christmas morning. Aspen, Colorado. We're going to go skiing and stay in a beautiful mountain resort and have spa days and eat at fancy restaurants. Maya's mouth fell open. Really? We're really going on a vacation? Really, Chloe confirmed. We leave tomorrow morning. The girls erupted in squeals of excitement, dancing around the office, asking a million questions. I watched their faces transform from the subdued disappointment they'd carried since Christmas to pure joy, and I knew I was making the right decision. Later that evening, after shopping for ski equipment and warm clothes, and after the girls had gone to bed still talking excitedly about their adventure, I sat down to plan the social media strategy. If Ryan could use social media to manipulate the family narrative, then I could use it to tell our story too. But unlike Ryan's lies and exaggerations, my posts would document real experiences, real joy, and real family bonding. I made a list of photos: the girls learning to ski, us dining at elegant restaurants, our luxury suite, spa treatments. And I researched hashtags and captions for maximum visibility among our extended family because it was time for everyone to see that Leah and Maya's family could create magical experiences too. And it was time for Owen and Piper to learn what it felt like to be excluded from something wonderful. But as I finalized our itinerary, my phone rang. It was Linda, her voice shaky. Nathan, honey, I need to tell you something. Your father and I have been talking about Christmas and about some of the things you showed me regarding Ryan's social media posts. Okay, I said cautiously. I think we may have made a mistake. A big mistake. And I'm not sure how to fix it. I felt a surge of vindication, followed immediately by anger. What kind of mistake, Mom? I don't think Ryan has been entirely honest with us about his financial situation. And I'm starting to realize that our decision about Christmas gifts may have hurt Leah and Maya in ways we didn't consider. May have hurt them, I said, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. Mom, my 8-year-old daughter spent Christmas morning trying to understand why their grandparents didn't love them enough to come see them. They watched Owen and Piper open thousands of dollars worth of gifts while they tried to be grateful for the art supplies we bought after depleting our savings. I know, honey. I know. And I feel terrible about it. And then Dad asked me to contribute to Ryan's kids' college funds after excluding my kids from Christmas because of budget issues. There was a long silence. Your father realizes that message was inappropriate, she said finally. He's been feeling guilty about it since he sent it. Good, I said, because tomorrow morning I'm taking my family to Aspen for a week-long vacation. And maybe while we're gone, you and Dad can figure out whether Leah and Maya actually matter to you, or if they're just the grandchildren you take for granted because their parents are responsible adults. Nathan, please don't. I hung up and immediately turned my phone to silent. Whatever revelations my parents were having, they were about 6 months too late. Ryan had been manipulating them, and they had made their choices. Now it was time for my family to make our own. And our choice was to stop waiting for other people to value us and start showing Leah and Maya that they were worth every luxury, every adventure, and every magical experience we could possibly provide. The mountain air in Aspen was crisp and clean. The snow-covered peaks surrounding our resort looked like something from a fairy tale. As our taxi pulled up to the Mountain View Resort, Leah and Maya pressed their faces to the windows, their breath fogging the glass, staring in wonder at the elegant lodge-style building. "Is this really where we're staying?" Maya whispered, her voice full of awe. "This is it, sweetheart," Chloe said, squeezing both girls' hands as we stepped out. The valet appeared instantly, and a friendly concierge welcomed us. Our suite, on the 4th floor, had panoramic views of the mountain slopes. The room itself was larger than our entire downstairs at home, with a fireplace, a kitchenette, and a separate bedroom for the girls featuring bunk beds built into the wall like something from a luxury cabin. "This is the most beautiful place I've ever seen," Leah said, spinning around. I took a photo of the girls exploring, their faces bright with excitement. Then a picture of the view from our balcony, the mountain peaks dramatic against the blue Colorado sky. I posted both to my social media with the caption, "Creating magical memories with my amazing family." Sometimes the best adventures are the ones you plan at the last minute. Within an hour, our ski instructor, Jessica, arrived. A cheerful woman in her 20s, she immediately put Leah and Maya at ease. "Have you girls ever been skiing before?" she asked as we walked to the rental area. "Never," Maya admitted. "But Daddy says we're going to learn." "Well, you're going to love it. The mountain conditions are perfect today, and we have the most beautiful beginner slopes." The equipment rental process was like nothing I'd experienced. It was a high-end boutique, clean, organized, professional. Leah and Maya looked like little professional skiers in their colorful gear, helmets decorated with designs, matching pink and purple outfits. I took photos of them getting fitted, their faces serious. Then the moment they first stepped onto their skis in the practice area, wobbling but grinning. Posted with the caption, "Watching my daughters discover new adventures. Proud daddy moment." The ski lesson was magical. Jessica started them on the bunny hill, a gentle slope. I watched from the sidelines as Leah and Maya slowly gained confidence, their initial wobbles giving way to tentative gliding movements. "Look, Daddy," Leah called out as she made her first successful turn. "I'm really skiing." Maya followed, her face intense, then threw her arms up triumphantly after her first run. "I actually did it." I photographed every moment, but more importantly, I watched my daughter's self-esteem rebuild. After the disappointment of Christmas morning, they were discovering they were capable of amazing things, that they deserved wonderful experiences, and that their parents would move mountains to make sure they felt valued and loved. That evening, we had dinner at the resort's 5-star restaurant. Leah and Maya approached the experience with a mixture of curiosity and excitement. "The menu has words I don't know," Maya whispered. "That's okay," I whispered back. "We'll ask the waiter." Our server, Marcus, was wonderful, patiently explaining dishes and arranging a special pasta for their 8-year-old palates. I photographed our elegant table, the girls in their nice dresses, the beautiful presentation of each course. The food was incredible. But more than that, watching Leah and Maya experience this level of service was priceless. "Daddy," Leah said, "this is the best dinner I've ever had in my whole life." "Mine too," Maya agreed. "I feel like a princess." I posted a family photo from dinner with the caption, "Teaching my daughters that they deserve the very best life has to offer. Family memories that will last forever." By the second day, Leah and Maya had graduated to intermediate slopes, their confidence growing exponentially. We hired a professional photographer to capture us skiing together, action shots, family portraits against snow-covered peaks, candid moments of joy. I posted the photos throughout the day, each one showcasing our adventure. My daughter's new challenges fills my heart with pride. The response from our extended family was immediate and intense. Aunts and uncles commented, asking where we were and how we could afford such an elaborate vacation. Cousins who hadn't been in touch for months were suddenly liking and sharing. But the comment that mattered most came on day 3. I had posted a family photo from our spa day, where Leah and Maya had gotten their first professional manicures and elegant braids, while Chloe and I enjoyed couples massages. The photo showed all 4 of us relaxed and glowing. The caption, "Self-care and family bonding, teaching my girls that they are worth every luxury and every moment of joy we can create together." Owen commented first, "Wow, Uncle Nathan, this looks amazing." "Where are you guys?" Piper's comment appeared an hour later. "This looks so fun. Why didn't you invite us?" I stared at that comment for several minutes, feeling a rush of satisfaction, then a moment of doubt. These were children, after all. But then I thought about Leah's face on Christmas morning, asking why Frank and Linda didn't love them enough. I thought about Maya trying to understand why Owen and Piper deserved ski trips and expensive gifts. And I typed my response, budget issues. The comment was innocuous enough to anyone who didn't understand the context, but I knew every member of my family would immediately recognize the exact phrase Frank had used to cancel my daughter's gifts. Within 20 minutes, my phone started buzzing. Extended family members commented, asking what I meant by budget issues when we were clearly on an expensive vacation. Ryan's ex-wife, Brittany, even commented, saying she was glad to see someone prioritizing their children's happiness. But the call that came 2 hours later was the one I'd been expecting. Nathan Benjamin. Linda's voice was sharp with anger. How could you say that to Piper? She's just a child. I used the exact words Dad used when he canceled Christmas for Leah and Maya, I said calmly. I thought it was the family's standard explanation for budget-related exclusions. That's completely different and you know it. Is it, Mom? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks exactly the same. Children asking why they're being excluded from a family experience. Adults responding with budget issues as an explanation. Your father had legitimate reasons for his Christmas decision. Did he? Because Ryan's been posting pictures of his Corvette, business trips, and expensive dinners for months while claiming to be financially struggling. But somehow Leah and Maya got excluded from Christmas because of budget issues. The silence stretched. Your father wants to talk to you, Linda said finally. Frank's voice came on the line, controlled anger in his tone. Son, your response to Piper was inappropriate and cruel. Was it more inappropriate and cruel than texting me that my daughter's Christmas was canceled for budget reasons while funding Ryan's family's luxury lifestyle? Ryan's situation is complicated. Ryan's situation is a lie, Dad. He quit his job voluntarily. He's been spending money on luxury items and trips for months. And he's been manipulating you and Mom while playing the victim. Meanwhile, Leah and Maya got excluded from Christmas because you decided that responsible parents don't deserve consideration. That's not what happened. That's exactly what happened. Ryan gets rewarded for being dramatic and irresponsible, and my kids get punished because their parents are stable and successful. Well, guess what, Dad? Stable and successful parents can create amazing experiences for their children, too. And we don't need anyone's permission or approval to make our daughters feel valued and loved. I hung up the phone and turned it back to silent. Then I looked out the window of our luxury suite at the mountain peaks, glowing in the afternoon sunlight, and realized that for the first time in months, I felt completely at peace. Leah and Maya were learning they deserved wonderful things. Chloe and I were prioritizing our well-being. And the rest of the family was learning that their assumptions about us were completely wrong. But the real satisfaction would come when we got home, and they realized this was just the beginning of how differently we were going to approach family relationships. On our 4th day, as we enjoyed breakfast on the resort's outdoor terrace, my phone buzzed with the notification I'd been waiting for. Piper had commented on our latest family photo, Leah and Maya confidently skiing an intermediate trail with the caption, "My fearless daughters conquering new heights every day." Her comment was innocent and heartbreaking. Why didn't you invite us? This looks so fun, and I want to learn skiing too. I took a screenshot before crafting my response. This was the moment I had been building toward, the opportunity to deliver the perfect lesson and consequences. Using the exact language Frank had used to devastate my daughters just 1 week earlier, I typed, "Budget issues." The response was simple, elegant, and devastating in its accuracy. Anyone who saw the comment thread would understand immediately that I was using the exact phrase that had been used to exclude my children from Christmas morning with their grandparents. Within minutes, the notifications started rolling in. Extended family members commented, asking what I meant. Aunt Patricia wrote, "What budget issues? You're clearly on an expensive vacation." Uncle Robert added, "Wait, didn't Frank say something about budget issues for Christmas too?" But it was Owen's confused response that really drove the point home. "Uncle Nathan, what are budget issues? Dad says we can't come because of budget issues, but I don't understand what that means." I watched the comment thread develop, family members slowly piecing together the connection. The beautiful irony wasn't lost on anyone. Brittany commented with a laughing emoji. Interesting how budget issues work differently for different family members. 20 minutes later, my phone started ringing. It was Linda, and I could hear the controlled fury in her voice. Nathan Benjamin, how dare you embarrass this family on social media like that? I'm not embarrassing anyone, Mom. I'm simply using the communication style that Dad established as appropriate for explaining family exclusions to children. Piper is crying because she doesn't understand why you won't invite them on your vacation. I felt a momentary pang of guilt, but then I remembered Maya's tears on Christmas morning, Leah's confused questions, and the way my daughters had tried to be grateful for their modest gifts while watching their cousins display thousands of dollars worth of luxury presents. That's unfortunate, I said. But I'm sure Ryan can explain budget issues to his children the same way you and Dad explained them to mine. This is completely different and you know it. How is it different, Mom? Piper asked why she wasn't invited to a family experience, and I used the exact same explanation Dad used when Leah and Maya asked why their Christmas was canceled. If it's an acceptable response for 8-year-olds, then it should be acceptable for Owen and Piper, too. Your father had legitimate financial concerns about Christmas expenses. Did he? Because Ryan's social media suggests he's been spending quite freely while claiming financial hardship. Atlantic City trips, expensive dinners, luxury cars. But somehow my responsible, financially stable family got excluded from Christmas for budget reasons. I could hear Linda conferring with someone. Then Frank's voice came on the line. Son, this has gone far enough. Your behavior is dividing this family. My behavior is responding to this family's established priorities. Ryan gets luxury treatment for being dramatic and manipulative. Responsible family members get excluded for being stable. I'm just adapting to the system you created. We never intended to hurt Leah and Maya. But you did hurt them, Dad. You sent me a text message canceling their Christmas 3 weeks before the holiday, while Ryan's kids were already receiving early gifts worth thousands of dollars. Then you asked me to contribute to Ryan's kids' college funds. You want to talk about dividing the family? You divided at the moment you decided that one set of grandchildren was more deserving of love and consideration than the other. Ryan's children are going through a difficult divorce situation, and my children are going through the difficult situation of learning that their grandparents consider them less important than their cousins. But apparently that's not the kind of difficulty that earns family support. I heard heated discussion in the background. Your mother and I want to come to Aspen, Frank said finally. We want to see Leah and Maya and discuss the situation in person. I'm sorry, but that won't be possible, I said. Budget issues. The silence was deafening. What do you mean, budget issues? Frank asked. I mean exactly what you meant when you used that phrase to explain to my daughters why their Christmas was canceled. Our vacation budget doesn't accommodate additional guests. Tough choices have to be made, and we've prioritized the family members who have been supportive and loving toward Leah and Maya. Nathan, please, let's be adults about this. I am being an adult, Dad. I'm prioritizing my children's emotional well-being over family drama, just like you taught me to do. Ryan's kids come first because their situation is complicated, remember? Well, my kids come first now because their situation is also complicated. They're dealing with the difficult realization that their grandparents play favorites. After I hung up, I found Chloe and the girls at the resort's heated outdoor pool, Leah and Maya practicing strokes while snow fell gently around the steaming pool area. That looked like an intense phone call, Chloe said as I settled into the lounge chair. Mom and Dad want to come to Aspen to fix the situation. And you said budget issues. Chloe started laughing, a completely genuine laugh I hadn't heard from her since Christmas morning. You're really committing to this approach. I'm committed to showing Leah and Maya that they matter more than family politics. And I'm committed to teaching everyone involved that actions have consequences. That evening, as we dressed for dinner, my phone lit up with notifications from family members who were finally understanding. Uncle Robert called Ryan directly and Ryan, trying to defend his manipulation, claimed his divorce justified special treatment. But Uncle Robert had done his own social media investigation and found Ryan's posts about business success, expensive purchases. Aunt Patricia posted on Facebook about family favoritism and the importance of treating all grandchildren equally. Brittany posted her own response, thanking me publicly for finally exposing Ryan's manipulation and expressing her appreciation. But the comment that satisfied me most came from my teenage cousin Jessica. So Ryan's kids get thousands of dollars in gifts plus a ski trip because of their parents' divorce, but Leah and Maya get excluded from Christmas because their parents are responsible? That's messed up. Good for Uncle Nathan for showing them what budget issues really feel like. As Leah and Maya enjoyed their gourmet dinner, chattering excitedly about skiing, I realized the lesson extended far beyond Ryan and my parents. I was teaching my daughters that they had value, that they deserved wonderful experiences, and that their parents would fight for their happiness. I was teaching Chloe that our family's well-being came first. And I was teaching Ryan, Linda, and Frank that responsible, successful people weren't going to accept second-class treatment just because they didn't create drama or manipulate situations. Most importantly, I was teaching everyone that budget issues was a two-way street. The next morning, our last day in Aspen, I woke to a text message that changed everything. It was from Frank. Son, your mother and I have been talking all night. Ryan admitted that he hasn't been entirely truthful about his financial situation. We realized we made a terrible mistake with Christmas, and we want to make it right. Can we please talk when you get home? I showed the message to Chloe. What do you think? She asked. I looked out the window at Leah and Maya building a snowman, their laughter carrying on the crisp mountain air. They looked happy, confident, secure. I think, I said, that it's time for some honest family conversations, but they're going to happen on our terms, with our priorities, and with full acknowledgement that Leah and Maya deserve the same love and consideration as any other grandchildren in this family. And if they're not willing to meet those conditions, Chloe asked, I watched my daughters, their faces bright with joy and adventure, completely secure in their parents' love. Then we'll keep creating our own magical family experiences, I said, because Leah and Maya deserve nothing less than the absolute best we can give them. We returned home from Aspen on a Sunday evening, our car loaded with ski equipment, resort souvenirs, and hundreds of photos documenting the most magical week our family had ever experienced. Leah and Maya couldn't stop talking about their skiing adventures and their plans to practice on the local bunny hill. But as we pulled into our driveway, I noticed Frank's BMW parked on the street. Through our living room window, I could see the familiar silhouettes of both my parents sitting on our couch. Looks like we have company, Chloe said. Leah and Maya spotted their grandparents' car and immediately perked up. Grandpa and Grandma are here, Maya exclaimed. Maybe they want to hear about our skiing. I felt a familiar protective instinct rise. After a week of watching my daughters rebuild their confidence and joy, I wasn't about to let anyone diminish their happiness. Girls, I said as we unloaded our luggage, Grandpa and Grandma are here to talk with Daddy and Mommy about some grown-up things. Why don't you take your new ski clothes upstairs and organize your souvenirs while we have our conversation? But I want to show them my pictures, Leah protested. You'll have a chance to do that, Chloe assured her. But first, the adults need to talk, okay? As we walked through the front door, Linda immediately stood up, her face a mixture of relief and apprehension. Frank remained seated, his expression guarded but uncomfortable. How was your trip? Linda asked, her voice carefully neutral. It was incredible, I said, setting down our luggage. The girls learned to ski. We had amazing family time and we created memories that will last a lifetime. That's wonderful, she said, though I could hear the tension. Frank cleared his throat. We were hoping we could have a conversation about the situation with Christmas and everything that's happened since then. I'm listening, I said, remaining standing. We owe you an apology, Linda said, her voice cracking. Multiple apologies, actually. To you, to Chloe, and especially to Leah and Maya. What specifically are you apologizing for? I asked, wanting to ensure they understood the full scope. Frank shifted uncomfortably. We made a serious error in judgment regarding Christmas gifts and family priorities. We allowed Ryan to manipulate us with false information about his financial situation, and we made decisions that hurt our relationship with you and the girls. False information? Chloe asked, settling into her favorite chair. Linda nodded, her eyes filling with tears. After you showed me Ryan's social media posts, we started asking more direct questions. When we pressed him for documentation of his job loss, he finally admitted that he quit voluntarily to start his consulting business. And when we asked about the Corvette he claimed to have sold, Frank continued, we discovered it's been parked behind his friend's house to keep us from seeing it. I felt a surge of vindication, but kept my expression neutral. What else? The expensive restaurants, the Atlantic City trips, the luxury purchases he's been posting about, Linda said, wiping her eyes. All of it funded by money he borrowed from us under false pretenses, plus credit cards he's been hiding from us. He convinced us that his children needed extra support because of the divorce trauma, while he was actually using the situation to fund a lifestyle he couldn't afford on his own, Frank said. Meanwhile, I said, Leah and Maya got their Christmas canceled because responsible parents supposedly don't need family support or consideration. We were wrong, Linda said firmly. Completely, inexcusably wrong. We let Ryan play victim while punishing you for being stable and successful. We took your family for granted because you don't create drama or ask for help. I looked toward the staircase, where I could hear Leah and Maya moving around, probably organizing their vacation photos. The girls were devastated, I said quietly. Christmas morning was heartbreaking. They kept asking why they weren't good enough for their grandparents to come see them. Linda started crying in earnest. I can't believe we did that to them. They must think we don't love them. They did think that, Chloe said. They spent Christmas morning trying to understand why Owen and Piper deserve thousands of dollars in gifts and a ski trip, while they got excluded entirely. Frank ran his hands through his hair, a gesture I remembered from my childhood when he was stressed. Ryan's manipulation was sophisticated, son. He played on our sympathy for the divorce situation, made us feel like responsible grandparents needed to step in and provide stability for his children, while making you feel like our children didn't need that same love and attention because their parents were capable of providing for them, I said. Exactly. And it was wrong on every level. I walked to the window and looked out at our quiet neighborhood, thinking about our week in Aspen. The joy on my daughters' faces, their confidence rebuilding, the family bonding. What's changed? I asked, turning back. What's different now that makes you think you can fix this? We've established new boundaries with Ryan, Frank said. He's no longer living with us, and we've made it clear that any future financial support will require complete transparency and documentation of legitimate need. He's also agreed to enter counseling, Linda added, both for his manipulative behavior and for the impact his choices have had on Owen and Piper's understanding of family relationships. That's a start, I said. But what about Leah and Maya? How do you plan to rebuild their trust and repair the damage? Linda and Frank exchanged glances. We want to reimburse you for the Christmas expenses you had to cover, Frank said. We also want to pay for your Aspen vacation, since that became necessary because of our poor judgment. And we want to establish new family traditions that ensure all grandchildren are treated equally. Linda added, no more favoritism, no more assumptions about which families need support versus which families can handle things on their own. I considered their offers. The financial reimbursement would help with the credit card debt. But the money wasn't the point anymore. I appreciate the financial offer, I said. But what matters more is whether Leah and Maya feel valued and prioritized going forward. They've learned this week that they're capable of amazing things and that they deserve wonderful experiences. I won't let anyone make them feel second class again. We understand, Frank said, and we want to be part of creating those wonderful experiences, not obstacles to them. Chloe leaned forward. What about Ryan's children? Owen and Piper didn't choose their father's manipulation, and they don't deserve to be punished for his behavior. We've had conversations with Ryan about that, too, Linda said. The children will still receive love and support, but it will be proportionate and honest. No more luxury gifts funded by deception. No more special treatment that comes at the expense of other family members. I heard footsteps on the stairs, and Leah appeared in the living room doorway, holding a photo from our ski lesson. Daddy, can I show Grandma and Grandpa my skiing picture? I looked at my parents, seeing the hope and guilt warring in their expressions. Come here, sweetheart. Leah approached cautiously, clearly sensing the tension, but eager to share her accomplishments. Grandma and Grandpa have something they want to say to you first, I said gently. Linda knelt down to Leah's eye level, her voice thick with emotion. Sweetheart, Grandma and Grandpa made some very bad decisions about Christmas, and we hurt your feelings and Maya's feelings. We're so sorry, and we want you to know that it had nothing to do with how much we love you. Leah studied her grandmother's face seriously. Owen said you couldn't afford presents for everybody, so you had to choose. The innocent honesty of her statement hit the room like a physical blow. I saw Frank wince. "That's not what happened, honey," Frank said, his voice carefully controlled. "Owen was wrong about that. We made poor choices about how to handle Christmas, and we hurt people we love very much. We're going to do better going forward." Maya appeared in the doorway. "Are you sad, Grandma?" she asked, noticing Linda's tears. "I'm sad that I made you and Leah sad," Linda admitted. "But I'm happy that you had such a wonderful vacation and that you learned to ski." For the next hour, Leah and Maya shared their Aspen photos and stories with their grandparents. I watched Linda and Frank's faces as they saw the evidence of the magical week we had created. "They look so happy," Linda whispered to me as Leah demonstrated her skiing stance. "They are happy," I said. "They learned that they're worth fighting for, that they deserve amazing experiences, and that their parents will always prioritize their well-being above family politics." After my parents left that evening, promising to start planning special one-on-one time with Leah and Maya to rebuild their relationships, I reflected on everything that had happened. Ryan's manipulation had temporarily divided our family, but it had forced us all to examine our values and priorities. Linda and Frank had been confronted with the consequences of their favoritism and had chosen to make meaningful changes. Ryan had been forced to acknowledge his deceptive behavior and commit to therapy. Most importantly, Leah and Maya had learned that they had value, that they deserved equal treatment, and that their parents would move mountains to ensure their happiness. The Aspen vacation had cost us financially, but it had been worth every penny for the confidence it had restored in my daughters and the boundaries it had established with my extended family. 6 months later, our family relationships had been rebuilt on a healthier foundation. Linda and Frank kept their promise about equal treatment. Ryan completed his counseling and began making genuine efforts to be honest. Owen and Piper adjusted to receiving age-appropriate gifts and experiences. They seemed happier with a more stable, honest dynamic. Leah and Maya thrived with their restored relationships, but they also carried forward the confidence and self-worth from our Aspen adventure. They knew they were valued, loved, and worth fighting for. And Chloe and I learned that sometimes protecting your family means making uncomfortable choices, even when those choices disrupt established family dynamics. The lesson I carried forward was simple but profound. Responsible, successful people deserve just as much love, consideration, and support as anyone else. Being stable doesn't mean you should be taken for granted, and being capable doesn't mean you don't need or deserve special treatment sometimes. Most importantly, children deserve equal love and consideration regardless of their parents' circumstances or the drama level of their family situation. Standing up for those principles had temporarily created conflict, but it had ultimately created a much stronger, healthier family dynamic based on honesty, fairness, and genuine love. As we planned our return trip to Aspen the following Christmas, this time as a multi-generational family vacation with grandparents who had learned to value all their grandchildren equally, I realized that sometimes the best gift you can give your children is teaching them that they're worth fighting for. And sometimes the best gift you can give your family is showing them what real love and commitment looks like, even when it means making difficult choices and standing firm on important principles. So tell me, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you had to choose between keeping peace and standing up for what's right?